It's 9. Let me just officially start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to everyone. Jumaat Mubarak. Thank you everyone for joining this training organized by the Center for Professional Development, CPD, IIUM today. I am Dr. Raini from the Learning Design Unit and I will be your moderator for this training. Before we start our session, let's recite Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Alhamdulillah. For today's training entitled Postgraduate Supervision Tips and Tricks, we are blessed with an internal speaker, Prof. Dr. Salina binti Kassim from the IIUM, Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. And inshallah, the duration will be 2 hours via Zoom, i.e. from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Before I go with the overview of today's training, followed by introducing your speaker, I'd like to call first the Director of CPD, Prof. T.S. Dr. Mira Katiwi, for her welcoming remarks. Please welcome, Prof.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahillazi Musta'inu ala umri dunya wa din wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salim. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. I would like to thank the speaker, of course, Prof. Dr. Salina Kassim. I've learned a lot from you. Not sure whether you realize that, but good if you don't realize that. But I've been following, I've been learning from how you supervise. So thank you so much for all the examples, the role model. You have been a role model for many of us, and I'm very sure with this session you will have a lot more people that can learn from you, and I really hope that the knowledge that we've gained for you from you will bring you barakah for not only for you but also for family. Amin ya rabbal alamin. And I also would like to thank Dr. Raini, Sister Hilda, and the team from CPD for arranging this session. I know it's a lot of work to prepare for sessions, making sure everyone's aware of the trainings and making sure everyone's here today. But inshallah, you will also gain the barakah from whatever that people gain from today's session. Jazakumullah khair. And of course, to everyone, I know supervision is art, and then I'm very sure Prof. Salina later on could share her art on how to supervise students, but there's also skills and competency that we can actually learn and we need to have when we supervise the students, not to mention the soft skills, which is patience and all those things, which I'm very sure Prof. Salina will share with all of us today. So again, I would like to thank everyone. It's okay. Alhamdulillah. So inshallah, today we will learn about supervision, and I really hope this will help especially for those who are new to IIUM. This will help you to put a context on the modules that CPSS provide on training on the compulsory modules on supervisions. So again, thank you so much. Jazakumullah khair. Jumaah Mubarakah, Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, now let me give you the overview of today's training, followed by introducing your speaker. Okay. So today's training is called the title is not fixed. I'm so sorry about that. Postgraduate Supervision Tips and Tricks. The introduction: supervising postgraduate students effectively is a critical skill for academics and researchers. It requires a unique set of approaches beyond simply guiding research. This training aims to equip participants with practical strategies and resources to become confident and successful postgraduate supervisors. Training competency. The training will enhance instructors' competency in pedagogical aspects. This is aligned with the 4th IIUM mission statement, which is to nurture the quality of holistic excellence, which is imbued with Islamic moral spiritual values in the process of learning, teaching, research consultancy, publication, administration, and also student life. So what you will get from this training: establish and maintain productive working relationships with their postgraduate students, set clear expectations and develop effective communication strategies for successful supervision, provide constructive feedback to guide students in their research and writing, monitor and manage students' progress efficiently and address potential challenges. Promoting well-being and work-life balance is important to both supervisors and also postgraduate students. Now let me introduce you to our speaker, the Honorable Prof. Dr. Salina binti Kassim. Currently, she is a professor at the IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance since June 2020. From her academic background, she obtained PhD in Economics, IIUM, in August 2006, Master in Economics, University of Missouri, USA, February 1995, Bachelor in Economics, University of Arizona, USA, September 1993, University Theologi Mara, Indiana University Preparatory Program, 1989 to 1991, Postgraduate Diploma in Islamic Studies, IIM, 2021, and currently she is doing Master of Science in Marketing, University Putra Malaysia. And I believe that the level is at thesis writing now, mashallah. Some of her selected appointments from August 2019 to July 2021, she was the Dean of IIiBF. January 2019 to December 2019, she was an adjunct professor at the Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnes Universitas Erlangga, Surabaya, Indonesia. And from November 2009 to April 2010, she was the visiting research fellow at the Institute of Developing Economies, Japan External Trade Organization, Japan. Additionally, for consulting and advisory, she is a member of Syariah Committee for Bank Pembangunan Malaysia Berhad and M-Bank, Islamic Bank Malaysia Berhad. She has vast experience teaching with 7 undergraduate courses and 9 postgraduate courses. Similarly, for postgraduate supervision, as a main supervisor, she has 36 PhD students, of whom 21 students graduated, and as a co-supervisor, she has 19 PhD students, 9 students graduated. For master supervision, she has 34 students. As an external examiner, she examined 16 theses, and as an internal examiner, she examined 19 theses. MashaAllah, very impressive. So before we start, okay, don't forget 2 CTD points will be awarded to those who fill in the IF10. Okay, please remember these guys, okay? The IF10 will be shared 15 minutes after the training starts, okay? And then you need to be recorded in Zoom attendance for a minimum of certain duration, and you need to fill in the evaluation form within 24 hours, okay? And then at the end of the training, please get ready for the photos to be taken. Now let's welcome Prof. Dr. Salina Kassim.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raini. May I share my slide now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So can you see my slide now?
Yes.
All right, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilman nafi'an warzuqni fahman wasi'an. First of all, I would like to thank CPD, Prof. Mira, Dr. Raini, and the team for inviting me. Respected colleagues, I see that many also senior in supervision, so I'm very happy that many are, attending this share. I would put it as sharing session. Why sharing session? When CPD actually approached me, Sister Hilda approached me, I was telling Sister Hilda that I think this postgraduate supervision, the topic is more suitable to be delivered by, maybe the Deputy Dean of Postgraduate. So then Sister Hilda told me that the whole objective is more towards understanding or getting the tips and tricks. So having heard that, I say, okay, if that's the case, I would have the liberty to share my experience and not really my real experience in supervision. So with that, I say then I'm okay with the invitation. So I accept the invitation. So today, I would like to share my a few years of experience in supervising, especially the PhD students, the postgraduate students. But I would think that most of my discussion will be relevant in the context of a PhD candidate or a PhD student. So just for thought, as a starting point, you can see that this is a very relevant and interesting cartoon here. It's about a PhD student. So I got this from PhD Comics. So you can see that this student is sitting in front of the computer and trying to start writing her thesis. So she said, I need to set a goal. I'll write 1 chapter per week. So everything is like, is well planned, very good. The motivation is there. 1 chapter per week is wow. Then she start, looking at the computer. Well, I have the rest of the week to do it. I'll work on something else for now. The distraction is there. Then, she said, the week is almost over. And I haven't written anything. So then she started to think, technically, if I write, n chapters next week, I'll still be on schedule. And then the cycle will repeat. So the chapter plus T1, time T plus 1, and then T plus 2. And towards the end, the work will never done. So this is what happened if there is, a student, a PhD student, a research student, without the guide of a supervisor. Okay. Sorry, I have something here. She can have the, the burning motivation to write. However, if the discipline is not there, she would never be able to complete the writing. So supervisor, one thing that we can get from here is that supervisor is an important partner in the research endeavor. And having said that, let us first of all go to the basic. Like just now, Prof. Mira mentioned that there are the basic rules, in supervision. But later on, I'll share with you the, from based on my experience, some soft skill, the art. Yes, I like that, the art of supervision. So in essence, supervisor is a person who directs and oversees the work of a junior, and in the context of our discussion, the postgraduate student. Okay, and it can be we'll talk more about this. It can be single supervision. That is, the PhD student is being supervised by a single supervisor, or it can be, using the approach of supervisory committee, where we have the main supervisor and the co-supervisors. And there is a particular way to decide on whether there are pros and cons, as well as to whether we opt for single supervision or having supervisory committee. Not necessarily that one is good over another. We will discuss that shortly. Okay. So then, if we have the supervisory committee, this supervisory committee can come from various backgrounds, depending on the topic of the PhD thesis. Like in Islamic banking and finance, for example, the topic would require, the topic is about say, for example, the Islamic financial system. But we also need to have, some input, an expert from, say, the central bank, or an expert from the industry, or expert from other discipline, like from legal. So then this expertise can be put together in the supervisory committee with the intention to facilitate, to support the research endeavor of the PhD student. So an effective working relationship between the supervisor and the supervisee is the key to success in completing the research. That is our main motivation. So why the need for supervision? Doctoral study requires high level of interdependence. As you can see just now, just very simple, the cartoon just now, if she is working on her own, then you might, things are not done in the end. I would also like to share my experience. Just this week, a student who has gone missing, MIA for 1 year. Then suddenly she came and said that here is the whole of my thesis. I'm done writing. Okay, but there were prior discussion before that during the defense session. So when I review, even in the objective, there seems to be some changes. So I see, if I have gone through this thesis, I would not allow this sort of, research objectives, the construction, the design of the research objective as such. Then only she mentioned that actually she did some changes. So I say there is different work with supervision, work without supervision. And now she has to go back, and I say, try to figure out, we work on the RO together, research objective together. And I say, no choice, you need to figure out how to go about addressing or achieving the amended research objective. Because with the research objective that she submitted to me, the full version, so to speak, I told her that this will not pass the Viva session. So this sort of hard talk need to be done, but at the same time, we also balance it so that the journey, the PhD journey, will not be a stressful one for both the supervisor and the supervisee. Okay, so appropriate guidance to ensure smooth and successful completion. I will share with you, for all of my supervisee, I will ensure that they work during the first meeting, they will work on the skeleton. This skeleton is the foundation. It's just like we're building a house. We need the foundation, and the rest are just, I normally say that you then later on, as you go along completing or writing your chapters, the rest are just adding more meat, adding meat to the skeleton. Then also you add on the cosmetics, but the core of the idea of the work is being summarized in the skeleton. If this skeleton is clearly built, then the PhD journey will be smooth. I will share with you. You can also use it if there is, applicability in your supervision. Now, it is also actually supervisor-supervisee relationship is a long-term relationship. Many of you would agree to this. We start with, sometimes it started with master supervision. There can also be the student actually follow us as supervisor, as a potential supervisor from her or his undergraduate studies, then doing master. And then there can also be, after master during PhD, because the quote unquote, the chemistry is there. Of course, from the perspective of the supervisee, okay, then the student would want to also get us as the supervisor in the PhD level. However, I've got also the experience whereby the student from bachelor degree, master degree, and then when PhD, I say, why don't you explore a new get the experience working with other supervisor, even though it's very difficult for him. So I say, you just go and explore the world. You might bump into more interesting experience rather than trapped with my with my style of supervision. Okay, right. So it's a passage into academic, especially into academic life, as well as their career. There can also be our PhD supervisee having graduated, and then after that applying, working together with us at the office, at the kuliah, and then we work together, applying for research grant together, become the best of colleagues that support each other for professional growth. That is very common. So as much as possible, we do not want or supervisor, as well as especially supervisee, they shouldn't burn the bridge. Later on, I'll show you some potential of conflicts. And there's nowhere else to go but to change the supervisor. Regardless, when there is a need to change supervisor, there must be reasons for both the supervisor and the supervisee. It's not just the problem of on the side of the supervisor or supervisee. Can be both, but regardless, don't burn the bridge, because the possibility is that in the future we will bump into each other again. So it should be on good terms. Okay. Now, from time to time, supervising need to be reminded that their expectation. If you see the not the diagram. This is the photo here. That the plan for achieving or getting the PhD by the supervisee seems to be a smooth journey. There must be, it's very unrealistic. It's unrealistic, I would say. In most cases, I'm not sure if you have got, the PhD journey is a smooth one. That's Alhamdulillah. So we congratulate that person, mashallah. But reality is there are the ups and downs, the bumps, the bursts. So of course, all this makes the student a more mature researcher. Okay, so that's a good side of it. Okay. So supervisor therefore needs to be reminded that the PhD journey, he is expected to bump into various issues and challenges, difficulties, and that's the price of getting the PhD, the PhD. And also in terms of supervisory relationship, in the context of our discussion, supervisee needs to be reminded that supervisors are probably busier than they would expect. Okay, sometimes the expectation of the supervisee is that they went missing for 6 months, for example, no news, and then the supervisor will start to contact. I would normally put it as, Salam, how are you? I would like to know the progress of your research. Just that, simple. And then they will start. Then only sometimes they will start their work, and then a week later they send one chapter, for example, perhaps they have been working on it already, and when we alert them, they expedite on it. Once they have submitted, the next day they will say, is there any progress? So this is very unreasonable. Very unreasonable. So we need to, remind the supervisee that supervisors are probably busier than you thought. We are human too. We are not turning in software. Okay, so yeah, we need to remind them this. We are teaching as well. We also have other supervising. The world doesn't revolve around them only. We have other supervisors as well. Okay, so sometimes several theses as examiner, as supervisor are waiting in queue. But it's the responsibility of the supervisor to actually tell them this. Sometimes they don't realize this. Supervisors may not always be aware of your concern and progress. This is to be honest to ourselves. It's not necessary that we are like robots. Oh, now I know that you, and I remember last month meeting, these are the problems. No. So be realistic. It's the responsibility of the supervisee to actually highlight, Prof, in the previous meeting, these are your comments, and this how I have comment on it. So I have highlighted it in red. So with the comment section, and the actual comment from the supervisor will be stated there. And this is how they make the correction in the thesis, in the chapter. So then we as supervisor, we will be reminded of what we have mentioned in the previous meeting, our concern, the thing that we asked them to correct, to improve, to add, and then they have done accordingly. If this is not being done, then we as supervisor will end up reading. Sometimes they don't do this correction, the supervisee. Okay, and towards the end, we will be, we will feel exhausted, reading the same thing again and again. And our, comments are not being incorporated. So a proper mechanism need to be put in place in order for the supervisee to clearly put or state what is the comments, and this is how I address the comments. You agree to it or not? Okay, so that is how we should do it, because we are not able to track. If you have like 10 or 8 active supervisee, how do you remember? Even sometimes you don't remember the topic. So always submission will come with the cover page. Fatima is working on wakaf topic. What about wakaf? There can be many students working on wakaf itself. So what's the aspect of Fatima's topic? Okay, so the candidate. This is another thing. The supervisor need to be reminded that you can share what is your target, what is your goal. So this is during the initial stage of the supervision process. Why? Because the candidate's enthusiasm, the candidate's discipline, the candidate's motivation, in fact, sharing the dream, sharing her issues, will encourage the supervisor, so that together we can work as a team. I always tell my supervisor that, remember that we are a team. The reason why I ask so many questions, why I want you to improve on this, on that, because as a team, we want you to finish successfully. Okay, and always remind them that this is your project. This is your project. You are responsible to it. Okay, so if they are clear about this, then inshallah towards the end, the process will be easy. Okay. Right. There are various types of supervision. So it depends on how you go, looking at it. There can be direct supervision. There can be indirect supervision. The style can be autocratic. It can also be laissez-faire, just let it be. It can be democratic. It can also be bureaucratic. That is one way of looking at it. According to Gutfield, 2005, in his paper about PhD being a supervisor. So you can check PhD, specifically on PhD supervision styles, there can be like four main types. Pastoral, the word that he used is pastoral, meaning high support, low self-direction. High support, low self-direction. There can be contractual, PhD supervision style, high support and high self-direction. Or it can be directional, low support, but with high self-direction. And there can again be laissez-faire, let it be, leave it alone. So this is low support, low self-direction. Okay, so you swim wherever, you just swim. If you float, then you're good. If you sink, then which one is the best? Well, there is no one size fit all. It depends. It depends actually very much on the PhD, our supervisee, the characteristic, all this. That's why face-to-face, in today's context of supervision, many supervisors would go for online. Regardless, I mean, realistically speaking, online supervision is okay, but at least we need to meet face-to-face. So that we will know, the characteristic, the motivation, the issues of in a way, maybe whether, in terms of, is he an introvert person, extrovert person? So all this can only be detected. You can only know if it's like, face-to-face. Face-to-face for PhD supervision is still needed, but the frequency can be lesser than the online. So as you can see here, this is the supervisor, and the supervisor are of various ability, characteristic in front of him. Then he said, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb the tree. So you can just imagine, first, like here you can see the monkey is having a very big smile. It's very easy for him. But for some other candidates, just imagine how the fish, how the rest, the seal and all. So it's it should be depending on the characteristic, on the background, the ability, the academic ability, and also some PhD candidate, they have got various wide experience in the industry. So we take all this into account in order to design the best research supervisory approach, as well as the research topic that will be discussed. I will discuss that shortly. So you can be either, it should be guided independence, and allow scientific creativity. I like that. Okay, so we guide, but if they start to go, diverge from their main topic, then as a supervisor, we bring them back. Is this, relevant? if they say, yeah, I think it's relevant, should I go back to the earlier history of mankind to discuss about the issue of debt in Islamic economics, for example? The supervisor might have different perspective, but the supervisor might say that, oh, I think, so let him speak, let him explain why, and then together we will decide as to whether we should include that or not. That's just one example. So mutual respect and understanding of the expectations, okay, shared commitment to the goal of the research will ensure a smooth supervisor-supervisee partnership and relationship. Okay. Now, what do supervisee aspect of supervisors? Commonly, it will be in terms of benefiting from the supervisor expertise, experience, and they expect that the supervisor is most informed about the research area. Okay, we want to supervise student in area that is we ourselves are still struggling to understand. Last time there were topic just sharing in Wakaf, for example, they want to apply a blockchain technology in Wakaf. So a few years back, the concept of blockchain technology, even the concept itself is not so clear to most supervisors, to most of us. So how can we supervise the student, single-handedly? But the topic of Wakaf is, maybe we can deal with it. But blockchain technology, its application. So if we do not have any, information, what's more to have expertise and experience, then it will not be advisable to handle or supervise the student single-handedly or have a single supervision model for this student. So better to have a supervisory committee comprising of people who are familiar with that aspect. Even that among the supervisors also, they need to actually, discuss among them how blockchain technology can be applied in the context of Islamic social finance, for example. So what will be the benefit and what is the way forward? All this need experts, experience, and most informed people in the specific research area. Now, the supervisee also expect from the supervisor constructive feedback. Okay, and last time there was I've heard some of the jokes made by the supervisors. They say that when the student come to you and then you just ask them, what have you done? Then you just like that. Now, actually, that could be one way, tips and tricks for you to actually get the student to work on and really know what they have done. Okay, so my approach would normally be like whenever the student has submitted the chapter, then I say, please straight away receive with thanks, and please arrange for an online meeting, or if you are around in campus, let us meet so that you can update me of what you have done, of your progress in this chapter. Okay, so the student, once they know that they are going to meet the supervisor, and that is not just meeting, that they have to actually present and highlight what are the progress, then they will be more prepared for it. And the pressure on the supervisor will also be lesser. Okay, we can read in advance, and when the student make the presentation, we can also further highlight emphasize on the area and get further explanation regarding aspect that we are not clear or need further extension, improvement, need examples, need more discussion like that. Okay, so by that way, definitely you will get the student will get what they are expecting for, meaning constructive feedback, because we are giving feedback one-to-one. The issue, these are the new things that I have included, say the student, and then the supervisor say, oh, if that is the one, yes, it is relevant, so let's enrich the discussion. Are there contradictory view? And why are there contradictory view? In what aspect? All this will add more meat to the discussion. Okay. Right. Of course, timely feedback. So if you ask for the meeting for them to present, then it will be definitely these two expectations we can meet already. Yeah, constructive feedback and timely feedback. Traditionally, these are all, the supervisor is a pressure. The ball is in the court of the supervisor. But now with these tips, I hope we can actually put the responsibility to both. And the supervisor will also allocate the time to meet the student 1 week after the student submission, and that is reasonable. Okay, so available for meeting, this is very important. Once we have decided to embark on the journey of supervising the student, it is the right of the student to get our some time, our time for the meeting. So it is the amanah to the supervisor to be available for meeting. And this should be decided at the initial stage in terms of the frequency of the meeting, in terms of the mode of the meeting. We do not want, please remember that this can be like, mouth from mouth to mouth, information. The students will say, oh, he or she is very difficult to meet. So that actually will affect your reputation as supervisor. Okay, so be very attentive and responsible. I would say this is a major requirement that must be fulfilled by all supervisors. So the amanah that must be fulfilled. Yeah. So you must be available for meeting. And you should, the supervisor also expect the supervisors to provide ethical advice. Ethical advice in terms of co-authorship. Especially this is sometimes it makes headlines in the news that the supervisor is taking my work and so on. So from the very beginning, be clear on this. These are ethical advice like on publications, on co-authorship, and what to do if the project is actually coming from the supervisor research grant. So what are the requirements of the research grant? For example, FRGS. And the student, the PhD student, is actually, getting the become the GRA for that research grant. Okay, what will be the requirement? Inform the student of this, the expectation, the requirement of the FRGS grant that we should be producing. The KPI is example 2 Scopus Awards articles, and in both article for this project that you become the GRA, it must be the professor or the supervisor's name must be the first, or else it will not be accepted by Mohe, for example. But of course, there can be other articles coming from the project, and the student should lead for example, and the professor will supervise, and then you can have, put your name as the main author. So make it clear. Then, during the discussion, there will be some, I don't know, can we say negotiation? There can be explanation, there can be justifications, and that is better, rather than suddenly the article come out and the student would have, an easy feeling, and so on and so forth. Right. Now, the supervisee also expect that the supervisor will assist in dealing with administrative matters. The journey to achieve PhD is not a smooth one. Sometimes students would have to take study leave for various reasons, for medical reason, maternity leave, for example. So this will be deliberated in the academic meeting. So the supervisor would represent the student. The supervisor also would have to remind the supervisee frequently about the graduation requirements. Okay, so while, yeah, it's also the responsibility of the supervisee to be aware of this. During the ta'aruf session, normally graduation requirements will be mentioned accordingly, will be highlighted, will be explained accordingly. For example, publication as graduation requirement. So what will be the points system? Scopus, non-scopus, but my side, or maybe conference papers, book chapters, how many points equivalent, and what would be the total requirement. All this need to be discussed right in the beginning, and when the student is submitting, in the end, there will be no problem. Just yesterday, there were problem, with one of my supervising, but then he kept on, blaming other people about the meeting the graduation requirement. So these are the problems. It is while I am delivering this talk about supervisory relationship, the tips and the tricks, I am also a normal supervisor. I also face many of these problems, and I am sharing with you for the sake of learning from each other. Okay, so if it's about submission and the points for publication, to meet graduation requirement is not fulfilled, then the student cannot graduate as yet. The student cannot submit. So just imagine if we handle this from the very beginning. Clearly, the student know what are the requirements and all. So we do not know where things go wrong, but the student cannot submit post-viva, cannot submit for graduation. To deal with the relevant authorities, especially at the kuliah level, so the supervisor need to always remind the student, okay, you have entered the PhD program full-time basis. So let's say maximum is 3 years, 4 years. Okay, and the expectation is that by the end, I would normally make it clear to the students so that they have a direction, a target to achieve, that by the end of the first year, you should already be able to submit your, or fill in the request for defense, proposal defense. The way that we are doing it at the institute is that for proposal defense, we need to complete 3 chapters at least, where one of the chapters must be the methodology chapter. We do not want students to get caught off guard, quote unquote, after the second year, the methodology is not suitable. So right during the defense session, the defense, the proposal should be already until the methodology chapter, and the student should be able to defend his methodology in achieving the research, the listed research objectives. Okay. So this would also relate to the skeleton, which I will highlight shortly. All right. I'm not sure how we can, conduct this session. Should I just continue with my materials and the questions will come later? Or should I pause and look at any questions, address any questions, Dr. Raini?
As of now, Prof, there is no question.
No question. Okay, so I will continue. All right.
Thank you, Prof.
So these are I think my slide is too high. What? Just hang on there. Yeah? So, right. These are the role of the supervisor. Actually, the role of supervisor can be divided into the stages. And you will see that as a supervisor, the level of engagement also will be different. For example, the level of engagement with your supervisee during the start of the supervisory, is very high. Is very high, especially when you want to prepare them. I mean, when they are preparing themselves for the proposal defense. Midway through, the engagement level will be a bit lesser. They will be going out there to the field to collect data, to analyze their data, to write reports, and so on. Okay, and then towards the end, once they are already done with their conclusion section, then getting them prepared for the Viva examination will again require high level of engagement. As far as what I have gone through, that was my experience. Okay, so why? Because there are the not hurdles the milestone that we have to achieve. For example, I mentioned just now, after 1 year, the proposal must be ready to be submitted and being examined by the examiners, preparing them for the proposal defense session. There will be mock defense. Sometimes mock defense can be taken place, several times. So we really prep our student. We work together to ensure that the journey will be smooth. So I would take this as the supervisor responsibility to ensure that the students are ready, and the students are making preparation themselves. But on our side, the procedure in terms of going to the defense session, we must, as a team, we must be well prepared. And what's more, if the student has submitted the full thesis and going for the Viva examination, so there will be several rounds of mock defense as well. And there, you can give input in terms of how to deal with the Viva examination. In fact, in many of the Viva examination, the supervisor will be asked to introduce, quote unquote, introduce the candidate, her candidate. So this is where you will be the supervisor would actually need to know the background of the student, the issues that he or she face, and therefore the Viva committee will be convinced that the student, this work is a supervised work, and the supervisor, you can see that the supervisor, that the role of the supervisor is very important. Okay, no doubt it's the student thesis, but we have a critical role to play. Okay, right. Right. So these are the 5 pillars. What does it take to be a good supervisor? not yet. Yeah, this is just 5 pillars, the elements of good postgraduate supervision. Yeah, so I think that's the correct way of presenting this slide here. 5 components. First of all, guidance. The supervisor must provide guidance. Guidance in terms of what? The topic to be selected, the scope of the research, the planning. So this involves timing. So if you plan to ensure that your student will be GOT, graduate on time, then this is very important. You should provide guidance in terms of the submission. What will be the expectation in terms of chapter submission? And also it relates to my discussion just now. By end of first year, proposal done, and you must be able to submit a good proposal to the examiners and defend your proposal. Okay, so planning. By say second year already, you are out for data collection. By second year, at least 1 article must be published. At least 1 or 2 articles must be out there, submitted for publication. So our supervisee will learn from the experience. Of course, we can do this ourselves, publication, but we want them to learn the process. So that by the end of the supervision, the PhD journey, already sending articles, going for conference is just part and parcel of their PhD life. Okay, so we want them to be used to this situation, comfortable to publish. Okay. Also, to ensure that the research objective, research, the content all are relevant. What will be the anchor? The anchor is your title. What are the keywords? And it is also to ensure relevance and not diverge to or go beyond the scope. It will be good to start building up or drafting the abstract. Some students and some even supervisors will say the abstract come later, because abstract will be, you need to report on the findings, etc. No, just put expected findings first. Okay, so abstract must come early. Build up. It's not something that you carve in the stone that it cannot be changed. It will be polish up. It will be enriched. It will be consolidated, polish up and all along the PhD journey. Now, this also highlight the importance, the expectation of the student, that a good PhD supervision should be providing the expertise, should contribute expertise, views, expert views, and be able to highlight what are the issues, what are the emerging issues, what are very importantly in simple, in simple language, in simple discussion with our supervisor, this issue is already outdated. Sometimes they come and say that, okay, I want to write on Islamic banking, and then it's like writing a textbook again and again about the issue of debt, for example. Well, there can be a new angle, but not the same angle, the same thing that is being harped again and again, where the industry out there are a lot of innovation happening, a lot of effort happening. So we do not want to be, a PhD student, the topic is like mediocre. It should be more of what are the advances in knowledge. So only those with expertise in the area can actually, highlight that to the student, or else we do not want to be, the student engaged in 3-4 year kind of work, but still, working on outdated issues. And later on, it will be very difficult for them to defend. These are outdated issues. Why? Now that the examiners, I always highlight to my students, the examiners will surely ask, then they will take it seriously. Okay, one way to open their eyes. Or else it would be just like us nagging them. They don't like it. So the younger generation of supervising, there's a specific way of handling them. Okay, so you need to mention, I've been to several, Viva session. The examiners will surely highlight this. And if you know the internal examiner, this professor, that professor, this professor, I know she will highlight about this methodology. She will highlight about, her expertise is this one. So you better ensure that you know the A to Z or in and out about this method, the interpretation. So that is the role for you to play, not just expert in terms of the content, but also expert in terms of the network of people in that area. Okay, so you need to aware of the latest updates. We do not want the topic to be outdated. We do not want our supervisee, the student, pity them because they are learning, and yet we are not aware of new development, advances in the knowledge. Yes, we can ask them, of course, to explore, look at more recent article, but specifically in what area that is our task as well. Okay, emerging issues. Now, we should provide support. We as supervisor, in various aspects, support in various aspects to ensure the academic, the intellectual academic support. Okay, and align, ensure aligned goals in terms of the research goal, in terms of the so-called industry direction. Are we criticizing, things that are already highlighted by the industry and the supervisory authority? For example, Bank Negara already looking at this, and Bank Negara has highlighted that these issues need to be solved, and currently the effort being done is, for example, Hajah and Darurah. So suddenly when the examiner asks the student, oh, I'm not aware of this. So then that's very sad lah, very sad. The trust, I mentioned just now that the student or the candidate should share her dreams, her motivation, her aspiration. So trust is also needed. The mental support. That's why in the beginning I also mentioned that let's make the journey not to be stressful for both sides. Of course, the student already, they are, in a way quite pressured. Of course, a PhD is not a simple journey. It's not a short journey. Some find it a lonely journey. And the supervisor would have the ability, the opportunity to make the journey more engaging, more a healthy journey rather than a very stressful one. Over the years, in my supervisory, experience, some students have got faced this, mental health issues. Yes. I think maybe many of us will know about that as well. So being a supervisor, it will be very important for us to be supportive of them. Just put ourselves, the empathy. And on our side, we want to see that this student who has chosen us to be the supervisor to be successfully completing his or her PhD journey. So when we see that, then we will provide all the support that we can, so that our student, our candidate, the candidate that we will be introducing during the Viva, that student also will actually bring our name. Who's your supervisor? Prof. Salina supervisor. Okay. So, that relationship, remember, is going to be a long-term relationship. We should nurture. We should really take care of it. Yeah. So other support, in some cases, there are situations where our supervisee would require, say, for example, financial support. So if we have the ability to help, why not? Okay. Also the motivation. So being a supervisor, actually we wear different hats, many hats lah. We wear the hats of the head of an expert of the topic. We wear the head of a mother. We wear the head of a motivator. This is your effort. This is your PhD journey. You have sacrificed a lot. Not just you have sacrificed. You leave your country. You travel, 2 full days to meet me, for example. Just imagine those from Morocco, from Mauritania, just to meet with the supervisor. I mean, so just imagine. So sometimes we need to be a bit sentimental about this. So also try to motivate them as much as possible. Okay. Now, interaction, yes, this I have highlighted just now as a supervisor, is the amanah that we have to give time to the student so that they can actually, tell us about not just the progress or any other issue relating to the completion of the project. Okay, so regular interaction now with online meetings, I find that myself would be meeting more frequent. And the nature of the students, and they go back after finishing after defending their proposal, so they will go back, collect data, and sometimes they go back to Morocco, to many places. Then we have to make the time for them and set the meeting. Well, Prof, I'm working. And I'm staying here when in Nigeria, for example, when you are this morning, I am at 3 a.m., for example. So if we can accommodate, why not? So, well, okay, you can meet after you finish working. So we will meet after Isha, for example. Up to you. Up to you. But the time must be allocated for the student. It's their rights. Okay, so for supervisory meeting, there can also be a spontaneous encounters. Just a small footnote there. Sometimes we are very excited. We see our student. This happens to me as well. From afar, I saw my supervisor. I was excited, trying to walk to it. Suddenly, she just go, the other. She just turned to another junction. At the junction, she just turned away. So that's why our feeling and the way that we handle our student, our expectation, our thinking that how the student think of us. Sometimes it is very different. We might be very excited because we are the supervisor, but the student, when they see us, they are not comfortable outside there, except for supervision. So we just accept them. Different people would have different way of seeing things. So we accept that. Now, supervisor would also have to take efforts to ensure progress. This is very important. The proper mechanism must be put in place, like I mentioned just now. So you must, in order for them to be able to defend at the end of the first year, then on our side, if no chapter, just the same chapter is being submitted to us, then we say you have another say 6 months towards the submission of the proposal defense, but you still haven't submit to me chapter 2. You still haven't done the literature review. The examiners will sure to be asked. Sometimes examiners, how many articles have you read? Just as simple as that. And we do not want to tell the examiners that only 10 articles. What is that? Is that undergraduate senior project, or is it PhD? So a few years back there were this template, like a literature review template. So the student will actually update this template, and sometimes we also attach that literature review template, then the article, what is it about, we attach it to the proposal, so that the examiners can see that, oh, these are relevant articles that you have reviewed, or you have written or you have reviewed more than 50 articles, the more the better. So all this is the responsibility of a good supervisor, okay, to ensure that the PhD journey will be smooth, and the student will be able to graduate on time. Some student, even after submitting post-viva, when we say GOT, sorry, Prof, what is GOT? Masya Allah. Graduate on time. Also, they are not familiar. Okay, so ensure progress on time, graduate on time, and the milestones and the targets must be achieved as planned. That if you want to ensure GOT. Now, these are further details. Let me just go through very quickly about the expectation just now. Supervisor must agree to a schedule of regular meetings with the student with pre-arranged and agreed frequency with the student. All this must be clearly discussed and decided at the initial stage. The supervisor must be accessible to the student at appropriate times, other appropriate times, apart from the regular meetings. That one is a must. Okay, when he or she may need advice. This could be like, through email or even online meetings. Giving guidance about the research in terms of the nature, in terms of the standard expected, planning the research in terms of, what literature, the main references, the sources, preparing the outline or the skeleton, which I will share shortly. Being familiar with the standard expected of research degree examiners, consistent with the guidance laid down by the relevant authorities in the university, like CPS. Okay, requesting written work as appropriate and returning such work with constructive criticism in a reasonable time. Sometimes students, I mentioned just now, today they submit, tomorrow they start to ask, then don't get annoyed. It's very common of students, so we just say that they also have some thinking, a lot of things that they are thinking about. They could have their own issues, so we just put it professionally. Receive your submission, your chapter submission. I will come back to you in a reasonable time, most probably end of the month, for example. Okay, so sometimes it's just the need for us to reply. Okay, there are supervisors where students submit, the student do not know whether they they have received or not. And just some response would do good. Yeah. So requesting, then I say just now, once you have done that, say towards the end, you set for the meeting. Then they can, by that time, you already finish reading the chapter. They will come, they will present, they will highlight, then the constructive comments can come. All right. So arrange as an appropriate for the student to present their research work. And this can be in PhD colloquiums, also in seminars, in conferences, so that we can get alternative views, views from outside, because most of the time, sometimes we have been working with the student for more than 1 year, 2 years, we do not see some, enriching aspect or other aspect. So that will be good. That's the reason why we always encourage our research student to go and present in conferences, and better still to go for publication, to ensure that the students are aware of the various guidelines and using the IIUM thesis guidelines, thesis template, even the template, start from the beginning, it will be easy. Also in terms of the graduation requirement particularly. I'll give you the example. The student cannot submit if they, even though it is after Viva, but if the graduation requirement is not met, then cannot submit. So that might result in him to postpone several things. In some cases, they already want apply for jobs, and the job require PhD completion. So there are a lot of problems resulting from not aware of the graduation requirement and the guidelines set. All right, then providing encourage training in related aspect. So this could be the initiative, like now the Center for Professional Development, CPD, is very commendable. Many people would actually benefit from this. Also CPS, Center for Postgraduate Studies, they also conduct, especially for the students. And we as supervisor, we need to tell the students so that the students are aware. Now your research at this stage, why don't you go for training handled by the institute, by the kuliah? Sometimes the postgraduate students are very, their society is very active. At collaboration with the postgraduate, the PhD coordinator, the deputy dean students. Okay, so they conduct, for example, how to write research proposal. It might be trivial for some of us, but for the students, they truly appreciate this. How to write problem, even, under chapter 1, how to write problem statement. Students really need that. How to construct research, research objective, and relate it to methodology, things like that. How to write a good literature review section. And what's more, if the student has started to, the data collection process, how to construct questionnaires. All these are very specific, yet very important, if not critical, for the student. That will definitely support the student research journey. And many students would actually decide on whether to conduct quantitative or qualitative. So then the method of analysis, using Atlas TI, for example, for qualitative, using en vivo. So how do you analyze transcribing? There are now, with the advance of the technology, how can we do transcription? If earlier transcription will take months, now I think just over one day, we turn the interview session to and ask for transcription. Then the software can do it in, say, 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour time, depending on the length of the interview. And then the analysis will come and vivo. And so all this, the students, they can get specific training. And for the quantitative, maybe for questionnaires, for time series analysis, forecasting technique, all this. Sometimes the supervisor, as a researcher, for example, FRGS, they also would want to go for workshop. Last time I was I invited an expert on forecasting from UTM. So we pay the expert using our fund, FRGS fund, and we invite many PhD students, including my supervisee, to join the training. So that will surely be beneficial and helps a lot for the student in analyzing their data. Okay, right. Also, the supervisor should also always remind the student about the availability of resources, including databases. Last time we used to, many students need to use Bloomberg, for example, or we have data stream, bank scope. So because of the budget cuts and all, where can the student get all this databases? And what about library resources? Sometimes these library resources are very specific. Like at the institute, we have the IFN, Islamic Financial News. They provide a lot of information. Tell the students that these are available. What are the alternatives? There are talks. You should be attending this talk. There are also experts. This professor is very good at say blockchain technology. If he or she is not in the team, why don't you join? You go and meet her, sit in the class. That can also be done. Sit in the class of the professors to get to know him or her, and grab the opportunity to talk about your research to her at the end of the class. Create the rapport and so on. All right. So these are the expectation to the student, supervisee. So I'll just put it here. I will share the slides in the interest of time. I want to continue. Right. So, sorry, this is about managing supervision. Okay, so to get the most out of a supervision, both supervisor and supervisee, both should, first of all, decide on the core topic of the thesis at the initial stage. Okay, this is to avoid changing topic halfway through, and already the clock has started ticking. And when they change the topic, and what's more, if they change the supervisor, definitely the remaining time is just very short. So that will create problem. There was in my just to share a bit, one of my supervisee, everything is very supportive of her. So this is for sharing purpose. She was a lecturer at one of the public university, and she was also during undergraduate, she was at the same kuliah with me. So when she did the PhD, she decided to be my, to have me as the supervisor. Now, however, she seems to have this, I think, some psychological issue. That's what she said. That whenever she was sitting in front of the computer, she just nothing. that she will produce in terms of the research. So I give the advice and all, but she has to take the flight. She's from Sarawak, and then every time she came here, she will never tell me that she's here. But her university, who is sponsoring her, say that she say that she's here. She's being given the leave from teaching. Of course, she's doing it full time. So the communication is very difficult. So it was like quite a frustrating journey for me, because I really want to see her completing. But when the time is already towards the end, already towards the 4th year, and still she hasn't defend, and the topic also is still, not clear, then I thought that it will be better for her. My last option was to somehow, retract, and I say, perhaps there's no chemistry, because I've been trying my level best to ensure that you move, you progress, but on your side is nothing, and she kept blaming it on the psychological problem. But I know that she always come here, and the attitude also is not that good, because she will just tell me if I am available for a meeting, because in 2 hours time I'm going to the airport already. I mean, this sort of thing. So in the end, she couldn't finish. She just withdraw from the program. So that's some failure stories as well. Failure stories. Okay, failure cases. Right. Understand each other expectation. I find this very important. I will tell the student in terms of my expectation. I will tell them that I am very much concerned about that you report to me every month. You can report every month through email, and then I will always reply, thank you for updating me of your progress. Once you're done, please submit here. Is there any progress, or is there any new conferences that you go? That sort of communication. Any training that you need, so before we actually meet and discuss the submission, right? So it has to be an active. I think my approach, my style of supervising is the active approach, and so far, alhamdulillah, I think majority of my students are able to graduate on time. Okay. So it takes that extra mileage, but it's not that hard to just type and follow up on their progress. Right. Understand each other expectation. I've got also one case where I mentioned during the first meeting, we agree to meet. Then I say, brother, this is my expectation with this topic. I think this is how we should go about it. Do you agree? Then he provide his view, and then after the meeting we depart, and then he said, Prof, I think I am not able to, I think I will not be under your supervision. That is okay from the very beginning, because on my side, perhaps it will be like reporting on quite frequent basis every month. So I'm not sure why is it that maybe for some students they are not keen to this type of supervision. So, but that is perfectly okay. The least that we can do is that we tell them our expectations. If they're not able to fulfill it, then I think he's very honest, and then okay, it will be for their own good. Now, arrange for matters of formal supervisory meetings, the frequency, the mode, and the student must be proactive. This is their thesis. They must be proactive. They must be the one who arrange for all this, and discuss the agenda of the meeting, and send it to the supervisor in advance. That's why the student must be proactive. Of course, the supervisor can tell the student, in our next meeting, I want you to present, highlight my comments last time, and then I want you to tell me where in the thesis, show me. Don't say, have you already addressed my comment? Yes. You need to tell them to show you where, and see there and then whether you are agreeable. Is that what you actually want the student to do? Okay, so for me, this is very serious matter. Or else, if we are not being shown the corrections that they have done, then in the coming submission, when you actually reread, you see, I thought this one I have asked, to avoid this confusion and that we being exhausted, supervision, both PhD supervision on both supervisor, supervisee must be something that is intellectually engaging, and we are very comfortable. From there, it will be a healthy relationship rather than a lot of things that you suspect, that you are not comfortable. So prepare some work, okay, before the meeting to provide some focus. This is like for the students, yeah. Discuss and agree on key issues, settle the matter. Authorship of papers, this I have mentioned, research ethics and intellectual property at the start of the project. So the relationship is very transparent, is a professional one. Okay, expect to receive feedback and criticism, and use this use this to improve the student work. Okay, deal with problems as they arise there and then, be it technical, be it in terms of resources, be it in terms of the supervision. Prof, I actually have submitted, but last time you say like this, I said, okay, then we can discuss. Perhaps last time there were no new development. Now there is new development, new product sheet being or PD, product disclosure being issued by Bank Negara. So we need to add this angle, for example. Summarize the meetings and keep copy. Like I mentioned just now, it can be keep a copy for both the supervisor, supervisee, but for the supervisor, now what we can do is that we ask the supervisee when they address our comments and suggestions, ask them to do it in review format. So there's the balloon for the review. Right there, Prof comment on what is the issue. Prof asked to include this thing. Here I have add PD Ijara, for example, Bank Negara, so on and so forth, something like that. Yeah. Okay. So then easy for us. Okay. Yes, I have made this comment. Oh, this is how you improve. Why? So this is good, but even though it's good, can you add more? Are there? I mentioned just now, contrasting view. What does the industry development regarding this? So that's why your expert input is needed. And you can do that systematically if the reporting is being done like that, clearly. All right. So these are just 10 golden rules for PhD candidates and 10 golden rules for the PhD supervision. Get to know your PhD candidate as a person and as a student. Discuss mutual expectations, so they are very much aligned with my discussion just now. Make a project plan together with your PhD candidate, particularly in terms of the milestone, in terms of the expectation, in terms of the submission frequency, in terms of when to defend, in terms of when to collect data collection, in terms of, you know, especially I find that the methodology section would require a long time, whereby we want to see the instrument, then we want to ensure that the student actually validate the instrument. After validating the instrument, they actually go for pilot study. After pilot study, they should make a report. Okay, and my trick is that, so have you done the pilot study? Now let us try to publish the pilot study, the findings of the pilot study. Okay, at least we send for conference or seminar. Okay, so the student will know that, oh, I have to conduct this pilot study. There are even during Viva session, examiners ask, did you do pilot? No. Then everyone will be silent. We know that that is a big sin there as a researcher. Okay. Right. All right. Separate responsibilities for the research project. If there are research like for FRGS and for the student, there must be clear. We do not want the student actually copy the work that we do for FRGS. There are ways to, do a demarcation between FRGS, the supervisor work and the supervisee work. Some supervisor would have difficulties. Why are the students actually reproducing my FRGS work? But already they are working very closely for 2 years. The FRGS project is done, and but the student project is very similar. So how do you deal with that? So be clear from that's the scope of the research work for the student must be very clear from the beginning. Okay. Yes, again and again, you will find that your availability will be mentioned there. Be available and reliable. Know that support needs may shift. Like I mentioned just now, sometimes, especially during the early stage, the level of engagement will be very high. You should, as supervisor, you should expect this. The student needs hand-holding, especially at the initial stage. Hand-holding in terms of what? Especially in terms of the topic. There are students who come, there are various types of students. Some come with very clear thing. I want to do this. I want to do this. Even though they are very clear, you need to actually ask them to put in the skeleton. Later on I will show you, so that you see, oh, this one is not really an objective, this one is issue that is outdated. There are new issues such as this and this, why you don't include that, a lot of, and you yourself and we ourselves as supervisors need to ensure that we are updated of the issues in that particular area. Organize or stimulate peer support for the PhD candidate. There are also situations whereby we can have a workshop. Say, for example, I have 10 active supervisee, or maybe one weekend we just makan-makan, and during and then the student will present in front of their peers. So that can be some ways to put color to the supervision process. Share and open up your network, supervisors. Know the advancement in the area. Okay, your network must be widened. So then that would actually, if you if we contribute to the advancement in knowledge in that area, okay, when your student later on will be going through the Viva examination, your presence there itself can add credibility to your students' work, because you have built the networking, the rapport among people in that area. Oh, this person is very much engaged in this topic. For example, in Wakaf, for example, even her publication are a lot here. His publication, he's the expert providing advisory role here and there. So that is one aspect that that is needed. It's a bonus. It's a bonus for the supervisee to have you presence during the Viva, and the feeling will be very rewarding for you as well as the supervisor. So keep on increasing or contributing to the advancement in knowledge in that specific area. And share supervision experiences with other supervisors. These are what we are doing. Definitely, all of us would have our own, experience, and it will be good to share so that we can learn from each other, right? So now we don't really talk about the traditional way of supervising. We are talking about hybrid supervision process. Okay, so we can have informal meetings. What's there up there? I couldn't see. All right. In terms of the structure and the support we should be providing, there can be hands-on approach and there can also be hands-off approach. We should be able to understand, always be updated with the student needs and characteristics. There can be team supervision so that it will be more dynamic. With each of the supervisory team bring the wealth of experience and expert in various areas. So especially in transdisciplinary, PhD topic, open communication. Like now we have many channels to reach our supervisee, and many channels as well for the supervisee to reach the supervisors. What matters is that we should know, we should respect the personal boundaries. So it depends. Some people are very, I would say, concerned. They really want to ensure their private space during the weekend. So if you there's nothing wrong about that. The message can come in, but of course you can reply, during the weekdays. Just an example. An even more dramatic example is that sometimes the supervisor, the supervisee WhatsApp us the message came in at 3 o'clock in the at night. Well, maybe they are 6 p.m. In other parts of the world. So we accept this diversity. It's just like the way we handle it. It must be accordingly. So the personal boundaries, we can explain this to our supervisee from the beginning. You can email me, or I don't quite agreeable for you to send to me last minute, you know, all of this thing. From the very beginning, we communicate, we explain, we tell them. Okay. To be an ideal mentor, okay, so I think these are the characteristics: appreciating individual differences. Again, availability. Make sure that you are available when the student need you. Okay, self-direction, questioning. In terms of celebration, that's why, you know, informal meetings. You know, the students, sometimes we thought it is trivial. It's very important to praise them. Because we never know that their self-esteem, and we don't even know sometimes, you know, when how much they truly prepared for the meeting, to meet us. We thought that this is just another meeting, but for the student to meet us, sometimes we are not aware of this. They have the feeling like, you know, that this is something that is very stressful, to meet the supervisor. And also we try to put ourselves in their shoes, in their situation, and try to manage the stress for them as well. Yeah. Building scientific, okay, all this I have mentioned. Mentor for life is a long-term relationship. Also, be aware of their enthusiasm, their sensitivity. So in terms of sensitivity, I have again another failure case that I want to share with you. This one, my one supervisor, I won't mention the name, but he's from Kenya. And the problem is that at the early stage, he was very productive. He was a good student. Then halfway through, there came the COVID, and at that time he already, you know, already missing. Then also he was hit by another problem. So a series of unfortunate events. I think his father was involved in the Ethiopian air crash. I still remember that. So it gives him a lot of pressure, and to the extent that he, you know, I try to give him some space, but after a while I say, brother, you need to submit your instrument, because it's time already for you to collect your data after all the study leave. He has taken study leave and so on and so forth. So then he didn't reply anything. Then it's about to the end of the maximum study period after the appeal and all. Already towards the end of study period, he didn't collect data yet. So, you know, collecting data, like I mentioned just now, is a work that you need to allow for ample time, quite a long time, to ensure that the data collection, starting from the you know, validation, the pilot, and then only the full-scale data collection. When time is already towards the end, then only he asked somebody on his behalf to contact me, that he has this depression, he told me. And then one fine day, he sent to me that he said, I need to finish this PhD, whatever it takes. And you know, once in a while, I have this feeling of committing suicide. So I couldn't take it, because for me, this is very unprofessional. It's very unprofessional. I feel like he is actually threatening me. That's the feeling. So starting from there on, there's no chemistry anymore.
Prof?
Yes. Yes.
Can you make it in the presentation mode again?
Oh, okay, sorry. Dr. Raini, how much time do we have left?
You have about 12 minutes left, and then you
12
have
minutes.
one
Okay.
question. One
All
question.
right. Okay, thank you. So yes, sensitivity in that aspect for me, that is already it cut off the interest, it cut off the motivation on my side. So then I leave it to the kuliah, to the institute to handle his situation. Okay. So, all right, there can be, therefore, in relation to that, conflicts can happen in supervisory matters, in PhD supervision. The cause of conflict, most of the time, is due to lack of communication. That's the reason why I always ensure from the very beginning of my supervision, with the students, at the very first day, I say, you must send me your update monthly basis. No update, there are updates, or even no update, Prof, I cannot write no update this time because I am in this situation, death of family, or I am actually still in data collection. Now I am in this part of Indonesia, so I'm away, and therefore I don't write anything yet. I am data collection. That's already I will reply, thank you very much for your update. Because over many years of supervision, I think my respected colleagues, yourself also, you would agree with me. Lack of communication is the major cause of problem in PhD supervision. Okay, so you discuss this at the beginning, give sufficient notice for requests, draw up an agenda for the meeting, record the outcome of all this we have discussed just now. Alert supervisor, tell me. I always, if they just silent, why don't you tell me? I've mentioned to you, right? You need to tell me. So I can be a very garang juga, supervisor. So sometimes, you can be soft at one, gentle at one part, but in certain area, this is for their own good as well. You have to be firm. You have to be firm. Another cause of conflict is mismatch of expectation. Mismatch of expectation. My expectation, the students say, is that I should be independent. I am more comfortable working on my own, Prof. I will send you after 2 years, I will send you everything. And I say, I cannot work like that, brother. I want you to submit progressively. I have mentioned to you, right? That is my expectation of your research progress. You need to update me. I've mentioned to you, right? By end of the first year, you need to defend, right? Have I mentioned to you? I have also, remind you again and again to submit. So conflict can happen, okay? Because of mismatch expectation. So keep expectations realistic. Okay, be organized and professional. Okay, be open, flexible, honest with concern. There can also be personality clash. Yeah, I have got my supervisor where she's an expert in a particular industry. She wants to do like this, everything. And then I say, why don't I give some comments. And then in the discussion, why is it that I cannot submit yet, Prof? I have agreed to include all your comments. I say, sorry, but you just take it. These are students. They have different type of behavior. So we always husnuzon. So understand discipline, cultural differences, find mutual ground and make effort to compromise. Yeah. Choose your battles and not war on everything. Okay. Competing pressures. This can be competing pressures. He wants to submit already because he has secured a job in this particular country, and the employer said you must come up with the PhD completion letter. But then on his side, on our side, where is your publication requirement points are not achieved. Then he said, so how I say, why do you ask me? I have mentioned to you about this. So then, yeah, these are conflict lah. But this one also, you submit the graduation publication for graduation requirement. You don't, the deputy dean, you don't send it to the deputy dean first. Why don't you get the signature? He or she will be the gatekeeper as to whether you can graduate or not, whether you have fulfilled or not. Or the administrator, I thought the administrator will send the form for me. MashaAllah. So this is unethical, I say. No, also, my friend said that there can be situation where there's no need for the form to be signed by the deputy dean. I say everyone is at fault except you. Yeah. So if he says another word, then I will block him. so these are pressures. Supervision is not a bed of roses. Sometimes, we are just human. And we are dealing with other human here. So try to find the mutual ground and make effort to compromise lah. Geram-geram juga ya. Be honest, don't overpromise. Give sufficient notice for requests and meetings. Remember that both of us are human beings. I have mentioned that just now. So if things doesn't work, cuba tengok this kerja kecil ni, dia tengah makan breakfast dengan kawan-kawan dia, with a friend. Suddenly he just jump into the friend say, what happened? Rupanya supervisor dia lalu. So if this is the case, then there is no compromising, area. When problem arise, you should speak to your supervisor. You should discuss. The first person regarding the thesis, regarding the study period, you should speak with your supervisor. But sometimes, if the problem persists, continue to be there, maybe, we do not know. This is human. Then you can speak to your second or other supervisor. Then maybe the second supervisor will then discuss with the main supervisor. However, if the issue is still not resolved, approach the department, program. Like here we have the IIiBF program coordinator. So speak to her, speak to him, and then we will bring that matter in the discussion, either formally in the academic admission meeting or informally within or among the supervisory committee. And we'll find some common grounds, so on. Okay, some solution to the problem, or even to the dean or the head of department. Now, remember, if all this fails, there's no chemistry, like my situation with the person, with the student from Kenya, that student from Kenya, then just, what's the point of staying? What's the point of staying is, change the supervisor. But this will be the last option, I would say. If things can be manned, just man it. Okay. Changing supervisor would require, you need to accommodate the new situation. You have to go through the process that you have taken 2 years ago all over again. And it's a waste of time. Yeah, better to avoid this. If your work is not progressing well, you are having personal difficulties to work together, and don't forget that there is always the last, there's a solution, but that is not normally not advisable. So these are more details regarding, I will try to finish up. Specifically regarding single supervision or supervisory committee, again, it depends on the topic of the thesis. If you can handle it, is a one-man show as far as supervisory is concerned, then you can go for it. But I think there's a danger to it. I would prefer at least there's another co-supervisor. Supervisory committee. Whatever it takes, make it clear to your students. Some student mana yang very confident, overconfident, they will say, Prof, today during the meeting, I want to bring in Dr. as my co-supervisor. Then bring it to the meeting. Bring it to the knowledge of the main supervisor, the existing supervisor. Sometimes whether they are able to work together, that is very important. You know, that the supervisors, are they able to sit on one table, sit in one table and able to work together? That is very important as well. And is there redundancy? There's no value added coming from the other supervisor. Once being appointed, there are a lot of process needed to be taken in order to, to exclude that supervisor. So think about it carefully before a new supervisor is being appointed. Definitely discussion would have to be done with the main supervisor. In most cases, I would say that for me, the supervision, we are allowed to do that at the institute. The early part of the supervision will be single-handedly handled. After the proposal defense, then only the co-supervisor will come. Normally, we will find, on my side, I will find a supervisor that can help in terms of data analysis, specific techniques, and so on. Each supervisor would have their own roles. We do not want just free riding for no reason. Why you need I can advise you on that as well. Why? So ask them. Now, matters to be discussed in the first meeting about the topic. Yes, understanding the intention of the student. Why you want to study, get a PhD? Why? What are your expectations here in terms of meetings? All this need to be discussed during the first meeting. Clear about like the terms and conditions of the supervisory relationship, publications, the supervisor expectation about publications. Supervision style. My supervision style is very active. You need to report to me every month. I will clearly highlight that. About the research grant, the student come in as RA for the research grant. Then where do you draw the dividing line in terms of her research and my research? Okay, that is very important. This, many times it results in problem. So please, submission of chapters. Is it chapter by chapter? Is it every 2 months, one chapter? And in terms of reading time, in terms of reviewing time, giving feedback, how is it? What's the procedure? Is it like you submit, I will read, give me at least 2 weeks, and then we will meet to discuss. That's normally my practice. And I find it, this is very systematic, and it also, and in a way, ensure that we allocate time for the student. Student must prepare the milestone so that we know their expectation and keep to the plan. You can have very nice milestone, but I say, you keep on extending also, there's no point. Always in my first meeting, I will ask the student to take at least 1 month to work on the skeleton, like this. Okay, so first of all, there will be issues. What are the issues that regarding the topic? So it will be good to list the topic up here. I will tell my supervisee. So list the issues. List the issues in your own words. Don't copy and paste. In your own words, you explain so that you will have, thinking. You will think about the topic that you are doing. There are situations where students, actually, I don't have any topic. Itu bahaya. Okay, but just bahaya, just there's a danger to it because he has no idea of what to do, but he can work on it if you give him the guideline like this. Okay, first of all, what are the issues regarding the topic? You want to do on what topic? So wakaf and blockchain, application of wakaf and blockchain. Okay, what are the issues regarding wakaf sector and why we need to include technology, blockchain technology in the management of wakaf asset, for example. So put it there. Issue number 1, issue number 2. This is how I ask the student if they are not clear of what they are doing. Even if they are clear what they are doing, I want them to fill in accordingly because I want to see in terms of the method. Then from the issue, in order to address that issue, this will be the research objective. RO1 is to address issue number 1. Okay. RO2 is to achieve research objective. Issue number 2. And then the rest are just mechanical. It leads to another. Once the epicenter of the research effort, from my view, is identifying the issues with regard to the topic. The topic will be the anchor, but the issues. What about the issues? You want to discuss about recovery of microfinance loan, for example. What are the issues there? Are there false element? Is it related to the mechanism of group lending, for example? So highlight there. Then what are, therefore, in order to address those issues that you have identified, you can come with the research objective. From the research objective, I say the rest are mechanical, meaning research objective is to identify the factors. What are the factors, for example? Why? So then we also blend in the requirements of the fundamental FRGS. Research question, especially for PhD, should have rigor. A PhD thesis, always keep in mind, always tell our student that it should have rigor. So the questions that you ask should also include fundamental questions. Why and how? Why and how? I have seen many theses, PhD theses, during defense, sometimes, what? Okay. So then, in my small house, I would ask, where is the supervisor? Why is it what? Okay. So ask this, impactful question that will result in rigor in the research of the PhD student. Then once you have that research question, then the corresponding, in order to answer that research question, which is to achieve the research objective, what is the method? And bring in some references of the studies So they have to do, literature review. And I would tell them after the first meeting, in the next meeting, you send to me a completed version of this research skeleton, the foundation of your thesis. Okay, the foundation of your thesis, the skeleton of your thesis, we will discuss. So sometimes they are redundant. And I will make sure that for a PhD thesis, at least you have to identify 5 issues, identification of issues, at least 5 issues. With normally students will tend to be redundant, and so we can combine, we can consolidate, and towards the end, at least we have at least 3 or 4 research objective. Now, once we have all this, then the student will be, the flow of writing will be relevant and continuous, because they know already what is it that they need to explore the literature about. They know already what would be the method, that this is measurable, that the method later on, it depends. It can be quantitative, it can be qualitative, what theory, so on and so forth. Okay, so this, I find it over the years, if the student really work on this, not copy and paste, inshallah, their journey, will be a smooth one. Their PhD journey will be a smooth one. Now, also I use a lot of wherever possible, the use of WhatsApp, email, and so on. A dedicated, normally I would give a dedicated or create a dedicated WhatsApp group for the supervision of the student. For example, Abdul Mois dash thesis supervision, and then the co-supervisors, the student, will be there. This will be to share issues, remind student, you want to submit for defense, the form need to be submitted by the next academic admission meeting, which is due next week. So form must come in today, fill in, that sort of thing. Reminders of deadlines, any opportunities in terms of what? For example, to apply for research grant. You are working on a micro takaful, for example. Why don't you apply for this one? So you can get funding, and you can also get the experience of working, training later on that we will do, so on and so forth. Updates relating to supervision matters only. No need. I have a few years back, there's this student that I met in one conference. Every day she will send like reminders, hadiths. I mean, it's not wrong, but we will have other platform for that. So to the extent that in the end, it's just like many of the contacts, the potential supervisors, they say, this is, somebody would have to tell this student a better way of doing, maintaining the networking. Online meetings can be arranged more frequently rather than just physical meetings. Reminders also on important milestone. This is the use of technology. Request for defense, date, examiners, procedures, intention to submit, also to ensure that the student will attend the PhD colloquium. The PhD colloquium is in some, I think in all kuliah it's being made compulsory, but you find that students sometimes they have a lot of excuse for not attending the PhD colloquium. But the PhD colloquium is actually a very good method to ensure that the student progress. Even that, if they participate also, sometimes they send the previous year PhD colloquium. They are also, they say they will come, and then on the day itself, the examiners already waiting for them. They just didn't turn up. This actually happened. So very sadly. Okay. Now, regarding publication is as a graduation requirement. We should all students should know the details about publication as graduation requirement. If it is at the, I think the Center for Postgraduate Studies have included this in their guideline. Okay, so there is a particular formula, like if you publish in book and book chapter, you get how this much points and so on and so forth. So be familiar with that. My approach is that normally I will target, just now I say at least there are 3 or 4 research objectives for the PhD student. So for each objective, the target is to publish 1 article. Okay, in coming up, in arriving at 1 article, there could be working papers. Working papers to be presented at seminars, to be presented, at conferences, in conference proceeding, a lesser version, or a more consolidated version of it. But the same topic, say from objective 1, you can, the student can expand and can send it for article for journal publication. Okay, so by that way, the number of publications can be increased. Yeah, so start producing article. My requirement to the student is that once you have successfully defend your thesis, start on publication. Must. So it can be a conceptual paper. It can be also some preliminary findings. So at least 1 article, one objective, 1 article, starting from after defense. Encourage conference participation, and for students, try to target low cost but high impact. International conference held by the university, join, or conferences where you can participate under the research grant. Within KL, or within Malaysia. If FRGS, you can get the support. Yeah. So conference papers, this one also I ask students to publish so that they will be familiar with the publication process, and later on they will be comfortable to expedite on publication. Some students are very good at this, conference papers, index proceeding, articles, so they need to strategize accordingly. Some publication could be easy to be accepted. Some would require some time, like for example, after 1 year of review, still they don't want to publish. So rather than it's a waste of time, but at least the article is there, continue to submit it to journals. So sending to journals is actually good. Of course, all of us know this, but supervisors, to the student, we need to tell them this, remind them this. You send to journals, you send to conferences, but conferences, you don't get much feedback lah. Especially if the students send it to journals, even though it got rejected, but the comments are very very meaningful, very valuable for the students to improve on their thesis. Sometimes the points from the peer review, we tend to oversee, but it can be a very good point to be included in the thesis, and that could be the question being asked during the viva. And along the supervision process, we'll see that some students are very good at publication, their motivation is very high, their commitment towards early, not early, but graduate on time is there, then it will be very good for us to tell them that I see the potential in you. Currently, already you have 3 or 4 publications, and I know that you are also sending to other publications or journals. Why don't you continue at this rate? And inshallah, I will nominate you for the best student award. And I see that many of the students are being motivated by this. It's like a push for them to further expedite and publish and come up with commendable work. Okay. So this is another skeleton that must be included, especially in the conclusion chapter. So I will tell the student to copy and paste their research objective and research question. That's very easy, can be done in 1 minute. Now the part that they need to really work on is the major findings. So fit in your major findings and what will be, ask yourself the question, so what? I always ask the student. So this will be write down the implications for each of the major findings. These are the implications and the recommendations. Okay. I will tell the student that in many of the Viva examination, the favorite question being asked by the examiners is that, have you achieved your stated research objective? Surprisingly, there can be thesis that the students are like, again, caught off guard. So rather than they are not prepared for it, if as supervisor we ask them to get the bullet ready in this form, then inshallah they can also pass their Viva exam smoothly, easily, inshallah. So these are the research objectives and then the major findings, and this will be the core, the skeleton for the discussion in the conclusion section. Okay, and definitely the student know that the student can answer, yes, I have achieved my research objective, where the findings for RO1 is that I find that for RO2, my major findings is this one. So we can see that she is very well prepared for that question. And so what that you find this is very much statistical. Is it just statistical relationship? No. I have implications, I have recommendations, implication to the industry players, to the consumers, to the policymakers. If it's in the case of social science, normally we will focus on this, and we can also include contribution to the literature or the body of knowledge. Many students will put literature to the body of knowledge. It depends on the nature of the topic. Body of knowledge, I would normally put it down. The first will be, yes, of course, it depends on the topic, the industry, the policymakers, the consumers. Okay. In terms of the output, to ensure that the students are motivated, especially for the good students, put everything into this table, summarize their research output. Like this one, is the output of one of my student. He is from Nigeria. So this is the first paper that he produced from his research. Conference, no. Journal, yes, there are several journals, but you can see that this article was sent many places but got rejected several times. But in the end, when he completed, he went back to Nigeria and started his job as a lecturer. Then only we got it published. But he has other papers as well. So number 2 is this article. So he went to the conference, at the Kuliah of Economics. At the time of supervising him, I was at the Kuliah of Economics, and then it was accepted for publication. Also, another version of the same topic was accepted to savings and development as well. So we can be quote unquote entrepreneurial about publication because this is a wealth of information and knowledge being available, being accumulated by the PhD student as well as ourselves. So make sure that the knowledge is productive by way of publishing and dissemination and all. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you for staying for the past 2 hours. Inshallah, I will pass the session to Dr. Raini and I will be very happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Okay, in the chat, I think we have 2 questions. So the first
Okay.
one, this is from Prof. Rafiqul. Thanks, Prof, for sharing. Very useful. One question: can a supervisor provide a model thesis to his or her supervisee to follow?
So it's a moral thesis?
Model thesis, yes.
Model thesis. I think I would be okay with that. Model thesis, it's not just to copy, to replicate. It's not to replicate, but perhaps in terms of the structure, or maybe in terms of I would say the tone and the references, but definitely it must be up to a certain limit that we can use it as a model. This pertains to the originality of the idea of the PhD thesis. So, but in terms of providing it as guidance, I think should be okay. Yeah, inshallah. Hopefully I answered that question, Prof. Rafiqul.
Prof. Okay, second question. This is from Dr. Hafiza. Can a combination of main supervisor and co-supervisor give rise to problems in supervising students? Can you give examples of the bad combination and tips and tricks to avoid it? Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, yeah. Having a supervisory committee, from my experience, is beneficial on my thinking. Based on my experience, but as I also mentioned just now, there can be the pros and cons lah. Especially the problem will arise if among the supervisor they have the that's not so favorable working history before. And among the supervisor or between the main supervisor and the co-supervisor, the working culture is different. Sometimes the main supervisor is not really is very much hands-on. But the co-supervisor say, let them explore. So then, that would result in clash in way of supervising, and sometimes it's difficult to get a particular point of agreement, especially in terms of approach. Some supervisor, they have their own aspect about theory. This theory. Some supervisor, they say theory is not important. We should move on. But some supervisor will say, we should, in all knowledge, we should start from theory. And so there are also supervisors where they clash in terms of the approach. I think just do the qualitative approach. No, for this topic, we want to identify a model. So better we go for PLS. And this one, let's just go for NVivo, Atlas DI, for example. So then, while waiting for the supervisor to strike a common or the you know the middle ground, the students are already confused. So, but as I mentioned on my side, Alhamdulillah, that's why my approach is that normally from the beginning, once the student has approached us, we call for meeting and see whether there's a chemistry, whether we are able to work together based on each other terms and conditions, is suitable or not, you know, the expectation just now, then we will start working. We'll start working until the student are able to defend, okay, the 3 chapters done. Then only the new supervisor will come and of course on my side normally the student will suggest, then I will say okay, yeah, I think he can come in, you know. So it's more of the initial supervisor decision. But if the students suddenly come, Prof, actually I have appointed, then that if you are not happy with that, from the very beginning you say any appointment of new supervisor, please discuss with me. Together we will decide whether there is a need to bring in new expert. We do not want things to get more complicated later on. Okay. So, yeah, but I agree with Hafiza. Sometimes there are situations where supervisor disagreement result in give impact on student output. Yeah. Okay. I hope I answered that question. Yeah.
I think it's very clear, Prof. Thank you so
Okay.
much. We
All
don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Actually, we just, yeah, I think we can just wrap up. Thank you so much, Prof. Dr. Salina. Great.
My pleasure.
Inshallah, we are looking forward to having you again.
MashaAllah. Inshallah, inshallah.
In fact, we have this one specific comment from Dr. Zohra, I think. Prof, this is the best session I have ever
Allah.
specific topic.
Thank you so much. Okay. Dr. Abdul Hamid is has raised his hand. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, Prof. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, Prof. Yeah, I can hear you.
Abdul Hamid from Market, yes. I was asking about the mismatch you have mentioned, the mismatch expectation. You have mentioned that supervisors will not allow students to be missing in action. So after 1 year or 2 years, they complete the thesis.
Yeah, but that happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, some supervisors ask the students with supervisees to submit the entire thesis. So this is very sad. Yeah, in fact, this is also a practice somewhere in our university or everywhere. So is it ethical? The supervisor is not aware, is not in the know, is not following, and the student is so hyperactive. Wants to see him, to meet him, to discuss with him, but he will say no. Go and finish and submit to me the entire thesis. This is number one. But Prof, also, you talk about the procedures, the forms. Yes, we supervisors, we have to know the procedures. Students, we are expected to be in the know. But also at the same time, as supervisors, we shouldn't be what you call busy with the forms. Students should know by themselves.
Yes,
I can guide them, but the student should be, he himself or herself should be knowing which form to fill and what time. All the requirements, the procedure should be known to them. But unfortunately, some students, they depend on the supervisors to show them which form to fill, which person to meet.
Yeah.
Allah, this is too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the students are aware of the procedures, this will save time of these supervisors. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Abdul Hamid. I totally agree with you, spot on. Yeah. It's exactly the student responsibility. I'm referring to question number 2. It's actually the student responsibility. The experience that I have gone through, remember I mentioned about my student wanting to submit post-viva. Suddenly graduation requirement is not fulfilled. He didn't even send the form to to the administrator, and he thought that he has sent the email copy to everyone, and everyone will take his form and sign. So I would say that it is actually the responsibility of the student, definitely, Prof. Yeah. But there's no harm for us to remind them again and again during our meetings. But the students are also being reminded during the ta'aruf session, and that, you know, these are the graduation requirement. They already in the know by right. But the problem is that some of the students, they didn't attend any of this briefing. They are just, especially with the part-time students, of course, they are busy with work and so on. But that's why sometimes, you know, we are dealing with human, and once we are committed to embark into the journey of PhD journey with them, some I would say give and take would be good. So yes, we just remind them. So you have already finished chapter 3. You know that, sorry, you have already finished the last chapter. You are done with data collection. You are finishing, you are starting on the conclusion chapter. So do you want to fill in the intention to submit? Okay, I mean, just ask them. So they will do it. A good student, normally they will remind us, Prof, I am already in the last chapter. Can I fill in the intention to submit? Then, you know, this sort of communication. But definitely you are right. It is the responsibility of the student. Yeah. Now it's just that if possible, we should remind them then and again. Now number 1 is about, I would think that it is the supervisory style. If you recall during my earlier slide, this could be various supervisory approach or style. Hands-on, mine is more of active. If there are supervisors who actually after, I'm sure there will be first meeting, yeah, Prof. Abdul Hamid, yeah, first meeting is already done. First meeting done, and then full submit full chapter. I mean full thesis, not full chapter, yeah, the whole thesis.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. Well, I think it's not so much favorable from my perspective. For me, supervision is, you know, the students are here, they want the time, they want to meet, but there must be good reasons for that, you know, professor to go for that approach of supervision. Yeah.
Okay, all right. It's 11:30.
All right.
I think, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we can just conclude. Thank you everyone for your participation in this training. Hope to see you again next time, inshallah. Let's end with the speaker para surat as.